Okay, today we're going to talk about point-slope form. Point-slope form is another way that you can write a linear equation, but unlike slope-intercept form, where there is just one unique equation for every non-vertical line, in point-slope form, there will be an infinite number of ways you could write a point-slope form for any line. And that's because there are an infinite number of points on a line. There's what point-slope form is. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x sub 1. And we have x sub 1, y sub 1 is going to be the given point. That will be an ordered pair that's given to you. There will be numbers, a location in the coordinate grid. The xy is going to represent any other point on the line, and those will stay as variables. On the next page, what I'm going to do is quickly show you how point-slope form comes from the formula for slope. So we have a line that has one marked point, 7, 5, that we know, and then there's another point that I've labeled as just xy. So the formula for slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now, since I can see the 2 points, I can find the slope by doing rise over run. It has a rise of 3 and a run of 4. So the slope is equal to 3/4. So what I will do is put 3/4 in for m, and I will put in the 0.75 for x sub 1 and y sub 1. So I have this equation. And what I will then do to solve this equation is on both sides of the equation, I'm going to multiply by the denominator of my fraction that has the variables. So that's the right side. So I have y sub 2 minus 5 over x sub 2 minus 7. And I'm going to multiply by the denominator, which is x sub 2 minus 7. And I have to do that on the right or the left side also. So I'm going to take 3/4 and multiply by x sub 2 minus 7. Okay, when you do that, the left side is going to stay just as it is, 3/4 multiplied by x sub 2 minus 7. And the right side, since I have a fraction, and I'm multiplying it by basically a whole number, which is x sub 2 minus 7, be looked at as a whole number. The denominator in my fraction is the same as what I'm multiplying by, so I'm left only with the numerator, which is y sub 2 minus 5. Now if I go ahead and get rid of the subscripts, you'll see that I have, and I'm also going to use the symmetric property here. I'm going to bring the y's to this side. When I get rid of my subscripts, I'll have y minus 5 is equal to 3/4 multiplied by x minus 7. And then what you should notice is that's point-slope form, which is y minus y sub 1 equals m multiplied by the quantity of x minus x sub 1. That's point-slope form. And you can see right above it, that's what that is. With the 7, 5 in place of x sub 1 and y sub 1, and 3/4 in place of m. Now on this line, I can use my slope to get a couple of other points. I could go up 3 and right 4 and get this point, which would be 11/8. And I could also go the other direction, down 3 and left 4, and I would get here, which is -1, -1. What I'll do now is, on the next page or two, we'll go through and I'll put in each of the points, -1, -1, 7, 5, and 11/8, and we'll put them into point-slope form and then translate the equation into slope-intercept and show you that it doesn't matter which point you use on a line, all of the slope-intercepts will be the same. So we'll start with the point 11/8. Now I'll put down point-slope form, and I'll just substitute in. Y sub 1 is 8, m is 3/4, and x sub 1 is 11. And so I would have y minus 8 is equal to 3/4 x minus, that would be 33/4, 8 1/4. Okay, and then on this side I have to then add 8 to both sides. And I would get that y is equal to 3/4 x minus 1/4. So there's my answer in slope-intercept form. And that's if I use that first point, 11/8. If I go and use the point 7/5, okay, I still use the point slope form, which is here in blue. And this time when I plug in, I'm going to get y minus 5 equals 3/4 multiplied by x minus 7. And you just do the math again. Solve an equation, 3/4 x minus 21/4, which is 5 1/4. Okay, then I have to add 5 to each side, and I get 3/4 x minus 1/4. Same thing. And then we'll do the last one quick, which is -1, -1. Plug in the same thing. Y minus -1 equals 3/4 x minus -1. Okay, that's y plus 1 equals 3/4 x. 3/4 times the quantity of x plus 1. And so then y plus 1 is equal to 3/4 x plus 3/4. When you subtract 1 from each side, you get y is equal to 3/4 x minus 1/4. And you can see that slope-intercept form is the same for each ordered pair. And that's what happens. You have one slope-intercept equation. Now you actually have multiple ways to write it in point-slope form. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is solve this equation here one more time to show you what to do. We plug in our points. Y minus 6 equals, slope is 2/7, x minus -5. Okay, this would be y minus 6, 2/7 multiplied by the quantity of x minus 5. Y minus 6 is equal to 2/7 x plus 10/7, which is 1 3/7. Okay, when I add 6 to each side, okay, I have 7 3/7. And so now I've just taken my point slope form and gotten my equation into slope-intercept. This is just a second way to write equations in slope-intercept form. Only this time we're using points.